Today's lecture was about South-South cooperation. South-South cooperation is between the new emerging powers like Brazil, China, India, with mostly countries in Africa. So Dr. Renu Modi gave a historical perspective on South-South cooperation and what it means today.
North-South cooperation is what we term as a traditional pattern of cooperation that existed soon after the countries of the global South became independent. And when here we are talking specifically in terms of financial flows, aid, trade, development, and it was considered to be top-down approach. It was considered as supply driven, and it was considered where the priorities were not decided by the recipient countries themselves.
South-South cooperation says we don't give aid. It's not development aid, but it is cooperation for mutual benefit. So it is mostly through economic, through trade or investment. But it's not that we give something because you are poorer than us, no, but mostly it is something that both parties gain from.
For example, China and India are offering investments in trade, developmental aid, which is not tied to any conditionality, issues of good governance. They believe in the philosophy of non-interference in the internal affairs of these countries, and they respect the sovereignty of these countries, and therefore they feel that the internal affairs are not the business of the investing countries.
The South-South cooperation says we have similar experiences than the developing countries have now, similar conditions, and we have had some successes ourselves, and we can share our knowledge and our expertise about development that other countries can profit from. So it's seen as a different philosophy, a different approach, and something that is more, at South-South cooperation, is more based on similar conditions and similar types of knowledge.
African continent can benefit from the South-South cooperation. Actually, it has been benefiting from the South-South cooperation right from the 1970s, but the nature of the South-South alliances has changed because of greater financial reserves that are available to the countries of China, India and Brazil, which are developing. In the 70s, these countries were themselves very inward looking because they were sorting out problems of nation building, economic development within their domestic context, and therefore they did not have such a vibrant policy of investments and FDI in these countries because they could not afford to do so. But today, the growth stories of the Asian tigers, Brazil, is different. And initially, the support of the South-South alliance with Africa was in the terms of ideological support, support for the anti-colonial movement, anti-apartheid movement, lobbying together as a part of the G77 to build a new international economic order. But today, there is a transfer of finances, lines of credit to these countries in Africa, which offers Africa a wider landscape to choose their financial aid from, and also to break away from the shackles of the conditionality-laden aid that it has been receiving from its traditional partners.
There is a kind of new self-confidence within this global South, so in countries, mostly in emerging powers like in China and India and Brazil, that is very clear about that they want to do things differently than the West has done over the past. So it was kind of this show of kind of self-confidence. It's not surprising, but you can see it. I see it happening more often.
This FDI, or the flow of funds through LOCs, there is no aid, as I mentioned earlier, can be beneficial only if it is handled well and the African countries take ownership and use the funding for their own people. If there is a corrupt regime and you have taken the money and signed contracts and the money finds its way out of the country, then how does it benefit the people?
One of the issues was also brought forward in the discussion is that there is a lack of research and like a systematic study of the impact of these emerging powers in development in Africa. So there is a claim, so there is a promise, so we expect that there will be a very positive outcome, but they have not been proved yet. There is no proof of it.
It's a very new and an exciting time to study development scenario, the trade aid scenario in Africa, because African countries have become assertive. They can choose their donors. They can even choose two donors. It's not even an either or. It could be one plus another one, depending on what suits them. So this is a new development in South-South cooperation.